Parshas Emor, it's very interesting. The Sefer Eved HaMelech tallies up all the mitzvahs in the Parsha, actually records more mitzvahs in Parshas Emor than in Parshas Kedoshim. We have many of the mitzvahs of the Yomim Tovim. We have many of the mitzvahs of the Kohanim. We have the mitzvahs of Kiddush Hashem and Chil Hashem, which we spoke about last year. The pasuk that caught my eye in this week's Parsha, we have in Perek Chaf Aleph, Pasuk Yud. It says, "V'hakohen Gadol me'echav asher yutzak arosho shemen hamishcha milayes yodel loboshas habegadim es rosho yifra v'gadol vo yifrom." So it says the Kohen Gadol, he's the greatest, he's the Gadol from his brothers, that they pour the shemen hamishcha on his head, and he puts on these special begadim. So he has a special halacha different than the other Kohanim. The pasuk's talking about the idea that they have a heter to become tamei or mace. When they lose 7 relatives, they're allowed to become tamei to them. Kohen Gadol may not become tamei to anybody, except for a mace mitzvah. He has a special higher status. He's commanded not to become tamei even on the loss of his wife or on the loss of a parent. Special place that he has in Yiddishkeit, that he has to be able to deal with the emotions and not bring himself to Toma. So the Midrash darshans the word me'achav. He's the greatest from his brothers, the Gemara in Yuma, and the Midrash darshan very fascinatingly, Gemara in Yuma daf Yud Ches, that he should be gadol, he should be greater than his brothers. I always learn this as greater in position, but apparently the Gemara darshans it. He should be greater in koach, in noi, in chachma, and in osher. Greater in physical strength, in beauty, in wisdom, and in wealth. And some say, how do we know that if the Kohen, that he's not the greatest, then they're megadol him, that they make him great, meaning financially that they would contribute to making him greater. That's why it says, Hagadol me'achav. He's gadol from his brothers. Gadoleu mishalachav. They make him great from his brothers. Fascinating idea. The Kohanim who don't have much money, they don't. I have one friend who's a Kohen who runs a business, but at least I don't know what's going to be when Beis HaMikdash comes. I hope we'll get to keep it. But the Kohanim, as a general rule, they did not work. They worked in the Beis HaMikdash, and they were supported by the people. So even they did get a lot of meat and different things and truma, but at the same time, they were not known for being. They probably most part were not very wealthy. And therefore, it's a big chiddush, though, that even so, they contribute the money to uplift him, to make sure he's the most prominent Kohen. The Midrash elaborates that this is what this means. But koach, that he should be strong, ashiris, he should be wealthy, and they'll even give him money if they need. The Midrash brings a story with a certain Kohen Gadol who they found that he was doing work on the side as a stone cutter, and they quickly went and they got him a lot of money. And that's the pshat in the pasuk, Hagadol me'echav. And a melech is a similar thing that we find by David HaMelech, and that it says that that Shaul put a suit of armor on David when David was going to go fight Goliath. And the Midrash points out that David was able to fit into these garments, into this suit of armor. It seems, says the Midrash, that when he was anointed as the Melech, he became bigger, that there was a miraculous effect that he became taller. And there's a Yalkut Shimoni. It doesn't sound to me like the pshat is that they have to pick the handsomest person and the tallest person to be the Kohen Gadol. It sounds like the Shemen HaMishcha will have an effect on them, that it had a certain, I guess, magical quality, if you will, that it was able to bring this kind of glory to the Kohen Gadol, that he got bigger just like David did, and he got stronger. And I assume they picked somebody with the chachma, because that's probably what they did, and the wealth, that I guess that the Kohanim made sure that he would be the wealthiest Kohen. So one thing that's just interesting, the chachma I understand, but why is it important that he be the most good-looking and the wealthiest? I guess physical strength, part of what you need to be the Kohen Gadol, you're going to be doing physical labor. My Rav actually pointed out that in Chazal we find this idea of the Kohanim. You have 2 Kohanim carrying a whole half of a cow. So it would seem, he said, that they're going to have to beef up a little and hit the gyms before when Mashiach comes to be able to do the avodah. It's not just, then you need physical strength to be able to do it. And you definitely need a lot of stamina to be the Kohen Gadol. but I guess let's say but the beauty and the wealth, where does that come in? So we mentioned in Parshas Pekudei once before that there's a chazal about how a Navi also needs the milas of over there was talking about being tall, and it was talking about being wealthy. And we explained that there's a few different pshatim. I think that the Marsha, I believe, on that Gemara explains it that it's just because there's a milah, because at the end of the day, this is a person of prestige. It's befitting that he be prestigious, meaning it's an honor for the Beis HaMikdash to have an honorable Kohen Gadol. And there's a Drush Saran who even talks about the idea that in order to command the respect of the people, certain people only respect money. Certain people only respect physical beauty. So the Kohen Gadol needs that if he's going to command the respect of all the people. That would be my suggestion of maybe applying that idea of the Drush Haran over here. But we see this idea that it would seem that just if the Kohen Gadol is going to be the source of one of the leaders of the Jewish people, he should be a person of honor, even in ways that maybe are not the most spiritually important, but they're important to the people and they bring an honor, and therefore they're worthwhile. And the truth is, really, we find this by the Beis HaMikdash itself had so much gold and precious metal and beautiful diamonds, and it's not because HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs things to look beautiful. It would seem to me, why do we need so much beauty in the Beis HaMikdash? Who are we trying to impress? It would seem that it's probably because beauty is a good maila, and beauty is a kavod. We find that the Emos were all described as beautiful. There is a maila to beauty, and it's befitting of the Beis HaMikdash to be beautiful. So just one point I wanted to point out, that the Kohen Gadol should have these physical and these attributes and have this maila and this greatness. This idea also of the Kohanim contributing the money, I think, is a interesting idea that I guess that they, in a sense, that they worked hard and they gave of themselves in order that he should have that kavod, instead of, I guess, hitting up the people. That no, they gave it out of their own pockets to show that respect for him. Maybe there's actually an interesting Rashi in Tainis Daf Chafalef who brings that there was a similar minhagim, brings from this pasuk even that the Rosh Hashiva, they should be megadol him and be ma'asher him. Sends it to a friend of mine who's a Rosh Hashiva. He said, sounds like a nice minhag. That in fact, this idea that he should be, that they should make him wealthy, that they should show him that respect, give him that greater position. And just focus on another point, this idea of the Kohen Gadol commanding the respect. I think it's important that we have that respect for our leaders, that we find what to respect in them and show our respect for them. As of this recording, two of the leaders of the Jewish people, Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky and Rav Matisyahu Salman, and both in need of Rachamei Shamayim and Refuah Shalema. And it's Devar Torah be a schus or Refuah Shalema for both of them, whatever humble way. And it's something that, especially in the times of Sfira, when we have that the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva, that 24,000 Talmidim, Tanoim, were wiped out because Lo Nagu Kavod Zeh Bazeh, it's a time for us to focus on our respect for Talmidei Chachamim, on our respect, because that Pashut Pshat would be one of the mistakes that they made, that they didn't respect the greatness of their fellow scholars, and it's something we have to work on, to respect Talmidei Chachamim and respect the greatness of the leaders of the Jewish people. And may Hashem help us do so. Wishing you a wonderful Shabbos.